Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, I am here with Darren Hollywood Smith. How are you doing, Darren?
Good, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good, thank you. Just took your Muay Thai class. Yeah. So that's one of the first things I want to ask you. Like, how do you juggle, are you a full-time coach, or is it just part-time aside from your...
It's just part-time. It's just something I love doing. I started coaching 7 years ago, and so I've just been in the business of teaching ever since. I love Muay Thai, so I love just giving back and sharing my knowledge with everyone else.
So did you start teaching before you
No.
Started fighting, or?
I just started training. I started training in kickboxing, and then from kickboxing I went to Muay Thai. Well, I think I did kickboxing and Muay Thai at the same time, and so from then I've been training Muay Thai for about 11 years now, and so after I had my 20th MMA fight plus Muay Thai, I was doing both. They were like, "Do you want to teach?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll teach." And I've been teaching ever since.
Nice. So does it feel like a hobby, so to say, or is it? Obviously it's a job, but is it hard to juggle when you're in camp, in fighting camp, or is it more of a maybe even a stress reliever? Maybe does it?
It definitely is a stress reliever. I feel like when I have a fight coming up, just being able to focus more on what everyone else is learning is better to help me evolve in my camp. So like basically when I'm in camp, like my students are in camp or everyone else is in camp with me. So I pretty much just relay whatever I'm working on and then just try to form it into class and then take my mind off of the fight and then focus on everyone else.
Got it. So you're coming off of a knockout victory on your return to Bellator. Versus Joshua Jones. So I noticed you had like one of the biggest smiles I've ever seen. Not just on the fighter, and on anyone in general. Obviously, I'm sure it had to do with because of the way you won. But what was that?
It's hard to describe. It's just that fight and then prepping for that fight was like a lot of highs and a lot of lows. My previous fight, I felt like I just dropped a dud. Like I just came out, I wasn't myself. My whole performance in that fight was just something that I usually don't come out to. It was just an off night, and I feel like I took that camp before that fight and then trying to transfer it over to this one. So it was a lot of ups where I was feeling good about myself, and then a lot of downs where I started thinking about that fight. And I just didn't want to have that same performance that I had in my previous fight for that fight. So getting that knockout, it was just, I rehearsed it in my head, I dreamed of it, and for it to come out, I was it was like a stress relief. Like there was a lot of pressure just off my shoulders. And
yeah,
for it to happen like that.
It was kind of obvious that that was.
That was my first actual. Well, I guess I think it's a KO, but they were saying it's a TKO. But I was like, that's my first knockout in MMA. I've had a lot of TKOs where I've dropped guys and then finished them with punches on top, but that was just a two-hitter quitter. That was just it.
Yeah, I would. In my opinion, I think it was a knockout as well.
What I'm saying.
Yeah. It was. You hurt him with the uppercut, right uppercut, and then you finished him off with was it a left or was it a right?
It was a right.
It was a
right uppercut and cross.
But there was no ground and pound.
There was no ground and pound.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
why I was like, it's a KO.
Yeah,
it should be a KO.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why I was like. That was my first knockout in front of everyone. All right,
and in California.
Yeah.
So speaking of the knockout, of the uppercut, I'm kind of curious. Usually fighters, they throw the uppercut from inside the pocket. That's where they generate more power. But the way you kind of threw it, you leaped in or stepped in as you threw the uppercut. How do you? I don't think it's kind of rare for somebody to throw an uppercut that way and land it and be effective with it. You rocked him, you wobbled him with that right uppercut as you stepped in. So how do you generate power behind that?
I just have a weird style. I feel like it's a lot of it's the main basis from Muay Thai, but I've incorporated a lot of boxing, and then of course it being MMA, I've had to lower my stance. So the form in itself, it shouldn't have as much power as it does, so it's weird, but yeah, I don't know. I drill it like non-stop. Like me and my boxing coach Adon, we've just been going hard with it for like the last 3 years. So for that punch to land, it'd be like the one that hurts them bad. Is no surprise to either of us.
Yeah, and I would say you just mentioned you have what were your exact words? You have like a weird style.
It's a weird style. I know I can. It's weird because I can mimic Muay Thai guys and I can mimic boxing guys, but then like when it comes to like my own style, I feel like it's very explosive, in and out, and it's very just like a style of my own.
Yeah, I
like
mean
to try to compare it to someone, I feel like it's kind of like a mixture of Melvin Gillard and who's another one? Really Donald Cerrone. You know, there's a lot of movement up top, but then exploding in and out. You know.
yeah, I mean I've noticed you and Coach Adon, you know, very unorthodox way of holding, not so much holding pads, but I guess yes, unorthodox style of holding mitts, but because of your unorthodox way of, you know, hitting the mitts.
Yeah.
You know, you keep your hands low, but you're always ready to, you know, slip out or bring your hands back up.
Mainly because I keep my hands low, because a lot of guys want to fucking wrestle. It's like if guys wanted to bang it, they'd be up higher. Like there was a fight about 2 years ago. I had a short notice fight in Hollywood, actually, against a guy named Juice. And that was a tough fight because he just wanted to stand and bang, and I loved that. Like I was like, heck yeah, like let's just stand and trade, and then it was just all stand up. But a lot of guys, like that's why my hands are kind of low, because I'm always expecting guys to shoot so I can defend, and then I just come back with punches as well.
Got it. So I mean, you posted up a picture recently talking about fight news coming soon. Are you able to discuss that yet, or not? Not really.
I'm able to discuss that. I mean, nothing's official until I get a contract. But my next fight's scheduled for August 22nd for Final Fight Championships out in Las Vegas. So that's like the next one. So it's been confirmed, but not confirmed. I haven't gotten a contract yet. So but that's the next one on the books. That's the next one I'm gearing up for.
Gotcha. So you train out of Boxing Works and Point of Impact,
yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you balance, or who do you work striking more with? Your MMA coach or Coach Adon?
I feel like I work striking with both of them a lot. Me and Yoko Hamamura, the coach over at Point of Impact, we've been working together since I started training. That's like 2009, I think. That's when I first started training. He was my training partner, and then when he retired, he went to become my coach. And so we've just been working nonstop. So he gets my style, and he knows what I need to work on the most out of almost anybody. But then exclusively my stand-up with Coach Adon is just, he fine-tunes everything. He makes everything really tight. Like I've noticed everything that I've been doing since I've been with him, like everything has just come around full circle. Like everyone who's seen me train and fight, they've noticed the difference from training with Coach Adon and then Coach Pope. So I mainly work on my stand-up, but I have to get my wrestling and my jits in whenever I can.
Gotcha. So you mentioned you had Muay Thai fights before, correct? So did you start off doing Muay Thai?
I started off doing Muay Thai. I had 6 amateur Muay Thai fights, and I won all 6. And then after that, my coach at the time was like, you need to start doing MMA. And everyone knows I used to hate doing jiu-jitsu. Not so much anymore, but it's still I'd rather stand and train my stand-up. I'd rather stand and bang. That's what I love, and that's what I feel most comfortable doing. So after I got my first MMA fight, it was just, the MMA fights came more frequent than the Muay Thai fights. And that was a kind of a bummer, but at the same time is where I've had my most success So now I mean I'm trying to. I would like to go back to Muay Thai and have like a couple Muay Thai fights before I actually hang them up.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
You mentioned it was a bummer. Why do you feel that way?
'Cause I hate when guys wrestle me. Like, I hate when guys just try to grab me. I'd rather just stand and bang.
Yeah.
You know, I love that. Like I love just going head to head. You know, and not worrying about someone just laying and praying on me. You know? Like someone just laying on top of me and just holding me down. Like if you can beat me stand up, then like that's like an accomplishment. Because not a lot of guys can do that. You know? So, and that's what I have to work on in my wrestling and my jits, and that's why I was like, but I've been training all this time in my stand-up, now I have to go back and get my wrestling and jits up to par.
Got it, yeah. So hopefully your the contract comes through, you know, the signatures on the dot. You said it was July?
August
Yeah. In Las Vegas. But obviously that's not, opponent isn't set or anything, right?
Opponent is set,
Opponent is set?
date set, the fights is set. I'm just waiting on a contract. Because I've had a lot of matchups where guys just pull out and then I'm left hanging in the wind, you know, so I'm always ready. That's why I'm always in the gym, like almost 5 to 6 times a week, just trying to stay in shape, just in case I get that short notice call. I don't have to like pick up and try to get my weight down, try to get my cardio up. I try to keep my cardio like at a decent level, so if I need to turn it up the last like 2 weeks, it's already there, you know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time for this interview, and we look forward to seeing you August in Las Vegas in the cage.